Hey guys, Dantics here. So the semi-open beta for the Expanse Osiris Reborn is out now, and with it we have a good idea of what to expect when the full game releases. The beta is set after the tutorial, which is where you acquire your ship. You only have one companion at this moment, Jay, who is your twin. So if you make a female character, Jay will be female. If you make a male, he will be male. Also, they'll look similar to you besides some aesthetic differences. At the moment in the beta, you can't customize your character, so instead you have to pick between 4 pre-made characters. Just to clarify, outside of the beta in the real game, you can custom make your characters. The choices you have in the beta though is a female Belter officer and hacker, as well as a male Earther officer and hacker. You can see me playing through all 4 without commentary in the video below. Now in the full game, you'll be able to choose between male and female, as well as your background, Belter, Martian or Earther. Belters will be visually taller, and you can see in the footage that it's quite noticeable. But also your background will receive a different passive, with Earthers getting 1 in the athletic social skill and Belters getting 1 to engineering. Martians most likely getting an increase to one of their social skills as well, which I'll explain later. There's also no set classes, so these pre-made characters are just to show you the different gadgets and a few skill points in a different tree. We're told eventually you'll need to lock in a build, but at least at the start, you're able to try every gadget and put points into any tree. I'll go through skill trees, social skills, personal passives and more later on. First, the beta throws you into a small explorable area of Pink Water 4. After surviving the attack on Arrow, something you'd know from a different perspective if you read the books or watched the show, you come back to your home base to report to Oscar, the director of the station. Before meeting him though, you can look around. While exploring, you'll run into a lot of flavor that helps immerse you in the Expanse universe. You'll read notes left around and you'll see a news report on screen that go through events of the books in the show involving James Holden. NPCs you pass also talk about current events, one mentioning he won't believe anything he sees until another video from Holden.
Only we don't even get a word from the survivors after their rescue. I won't believe they're alive until I see another video from Holden.
Then we also have a bit of foreshadowing to the events that are about to happen that is brushed aside here.
There's a weird blip on the LiDAR.
That's my future.
And if you talk to this NPC, there'll be different things said when you run into him later, so conversations actually matter in this game. I saw attention to detail in this beta that very well may carry over into the full launch and into all aspects of the full game. At least we can hope. So all of this makes it feel quite alive. You walk past a man fixing something and Jay stops to talk to him. All throughout the beta, I felt like the companion had more of a role than simply being your sidekick. They had their own thoughts and things to say. This was especially evident when talking with NPCs. Jay had more to say sometimes than even the main character. When NPCs responded to you, there was back and forth between all parties involved. It was refreshing, especially coming off Crimson Desert, which yes, was a completely different game, but it was one where you were talked at and there was very little interaction. This is a good time to mention social/exploration skills, which are the same thing, so don't get confused. Essentially, like Baldur's Gate 3, there will be skill checks around the world. Perception is one such check here and in Baldur's Gate 3. If your skills are high enough, you can uncover a secret at designated places. If you didn't choose a pre-made character, you would be choosing between 2 social skills at character creation. Your crew also have their own 2 social skills. You can only use Jay in the demo, but you can bring with you up to 2 crew members on each mission. You have to see my companion video below for a deep dive, but essentially there is persuasion, athletics, cyber sabotage, perception, analysis, and engineering. When you see something heavy to push, you can click on it and meet a check for athletics. If you have over that amount, you can push it, but your companions will combine their social skill score with yours to see if you pass the check. So if you have 2 in athletics and they have 2, and the amount needed to pass is 4, you will have enough to pass. Also, you can use special items to increase your rank temporarily. So if the check was 5, you have 2, your companions have 2, you can use a special item to boost that up to 5. So while exploring this starting area, you'll find things to fix and analyze. The former can't be done with the pre-made characters you have access to, but using engineering, something you can do as a hacker but can only do as the officer because Jay helps boost up your skills, grants a powerful subsystem. I'll go through subsystems soon. If you chose the female, you'll be enjoying a wonderfully voice-acted romp through the game. If you chose male though, well, I'll let you decide.
With the brass acting like that,
A month without leave can easily turn into a year. A month without a day off? Sheesh.
Please just help us get away from them. Let us go back to the ship and I promise we'll take off.
The male voice just doesn't suit the character in my humble opinion. I'm sure you all hear it. It's quite jarring at points and makes me hopeful they have added multiple voices to pick from. I mean, no shade at all to the voice actor, I just think they were perhaps given the wrong direction. Before you click off and think this game is made by the typical offenders and is destined to be a nightmare for the average gamer, they have shown in plenty of other areas that it is not, including the companions you'll get access to and some of the dialogue you'll hear throughout the beta. There's a lot of dialogue you can opt into. For example, going back to the woman in charge of the shop, you can engage her in a lot of gossip. Multiple chances to persuade her, which grants the goss and experience. This conversation is really in-depth for what is essentially non-mission critical dialogue. So once you're done looking around, you can continue the beta mission. What's interesting is that a choice you make here very early on in the beta will matter midway through and at the end. The midway point keeps the armory relatively full, letting you pick up a sniper, or it empties it out in exchange for some armed help. A significant consequence in itself, but you haven't seen anything yet. The endpoint of the beta has a major consequence. I don't want to spoil exactly what happens, but it made me re-evaluate if you should automatically click the persuade option when offered it. It seems like this game won't always reward you for making what looks to be the best choice on paper. In fact, it may punish you in significant ways, and that's refreshing and not at all a HR in the room situation. You'll then be thrown into combat. If you played other third-person cover-based action RPGs, it will feel familiar to you. Closer to Mass Effect 2, as there's no roll feature to snap you out of cover like 3 had. Staying in an enemy's line of fire will result in your quick death, while in cover though, you can shoot over it without peeking over, keeping you relatively safe, but all cover can be destroyed. You can also aim and shoot to be more accurate, you can command your teammates, or you can use some of your gadgets. You can have equipped 3 gadgets at once and they serve as your abilities. For example, the officer starts with the frag grenade gadget and it does what you expect. It blows up and takes out enemies in an AoE, except grenades in the Expanse are self-propelled. So there isn't a traditional throwing arc and this one explodes on impact. Each gadget can be modified to have different upgrades. You see, while exploring, you'll find a lot of materials for crafting and modifying. Modifying is your way of investing in a weapon, gadget, or subsystem skill trees. Yes, they all have a choice between 1 to 3 skills for each rank of modification, like a skill tree, further customizing your playstyle. There's a workbench in the beta you can play around with, and I can tell you that along with crafting, this will really fine-tune your build. Using a social skill, cybersecurity, you can hack into a computer and pull out a recipe for a subsystem that you can then craft. It seems fairly powerful, so high social skills will give great rewards. Now your gadgets modify what you can do in combat, but you also have limited healing and you have the ability to engage your companions. Engaging your companions has various benefits based on your investment into the leadership skill tree, but at the start, it commands your companions to attack the target you used it on, fire faster, and use their signature gadget. If their signature gadget, the one they can't remove, is on cooldown, they'll use the second gadget that you have equipped on them. There doesn't seem to be a separate engage command for each companion as of right now, but it's hard to tell as we only get to use one companion in the beta. The ability has a cooldown and it is powerful. When playing around with the leadership skill tree, I noticed I could significantly reduce the engage's cooldown, making it able to be used so often as to be its own complete playstyle. You can look at the full leadership tree in the beta along with all the other trees. I won't break down every node, but we have one for shooter, which focuses on dishing out damage with weapons. This playstyle will depend on what weapons you use and how you modify them. We also have one for gadgets, which are items that essentially work as your abilities, turning you into a kind of mage or support character based on the gadgets you have equipped and how you modify them, of course. We have Survivalist, which focuses around survival and is quite frankly the most boring to me. I'm sure many people will be excited to go down this line, as it does have skills that let you absorb more damage and dish out more damage as you do. Then finally we have a tree for leadership, which amazingly lets you become a battlefield commander, focusing on your companions to dish out the damage, and like mentioned, can also buff your engage command. Your companions have their own skill trees as well, 3 of them. Shooter, gadget, and survivalist. Yes, they don't have leadership because you're the leader, but the other titles are the same as your skill tree titles. However, the nodes within the tree that have the same title as yours have entirely different skills. For example, Jay can change their exploit type to malfunction from its original precision within his gadget tree, something you don't have access to on your character. So what am I talking about? Environmental exploits are ways your companions can interact with the world. In the beta, you can command Jay to take out weak points in cover, or precision target explosives, which usually takes out a ton of enemies and all their cover. Exploits are really powerful ways to interact with the world, and although they are contextual, being dependent on the map, they mix up the combat enough that I found myself looking for the best and most lethal opportunities to use them. I even tried to set up perfect opportunities to take out the most amount of people with an exploit. Like mentioned, Jay starts with the precision exploit, but there are other types. Demolitions, malfunction, and cyber attack, which all exploit the environment in different ways, which will encourage you to bring along different companions. So using exploits in the beta was fun, but we also met Safar, who is a companion you'll get to use later and we saw in the reveal trailer. For now, he helps you over comms and helps you while he's in your ship. He gives you limited access to using the ship's PDCs like an environmental exploit, which absolutely shreds enemies. This means that perhaps in other missions we'll have unique contextual exploits to look forward to. This really is a unique way to make the companions feel like they are contributing more in combat, and picking and customizing the right ones will be a lot of fun for most people. Also, it makes it so your ship can interact with the environment and be its own sort of character. Speaking of customization, you can fully load your crew and your character with gear. First, you can have 2 weapons equipped, which you can customize individually. You can also give 1 weapon to your companion to use, and from my testing, their damage isn't nerfed at all. When they fire, they'll deal the same damage as you would if you both had equal investment in the skill tree, that is. Next are your gadgets. You can have up to 3 equipped, and they also can be individually customized. Your companion though has 1 signature gadget. Jay has Jay's multi-shot, which fires a wrist-mounted launcher at multiple targets for huge damage. This actually deals more damage overall than your frag grenade when you factor in targets hit, so companions won't be slouches. The second slot is for any gadget you want to put on them, so I could take the frag grenade off the main character and put it onto Jay and he will use the frag grenade. Next are subsystems. You can have 4 slots and your companions have 3, though one of those 3 is a signature subsystem. If you haven't already caught on, you most likely will want to fully upgrade the companions you want to use by customizing their signature gadgets and subsystems first, since you'll never be able to swap those out. Subsystems are a way to further customize by giving boosts to armor, damage, reload speed, ability damage, cooldowns, and all the typical offenders. These can be upgraded and customized with pseudo skill trees as well. If this is all a bit much, that's good. You can play the game any way you want, but if you want to really customize, really drill down, there seems to be a lot of ways to do so. More than a usual action RPG, which probably goes back to Owlcat's CRPG roots. It's honestly refreshing to be able to put on my build crafting hat again. Now, I'm not sure if you can customize the way companions look decoratively, but you can change the cosmetic looks of your helmet and armor with a decoration slot. But your actual stats will be tied to your gear. For example, your total armor amount. Armor protects your health and you can heal both your armor and your health with the press of the button. That is tied to your subsystems. Now that's not all. I mentioned you can invest in a skill tree for each character, customize your gear with their own skill trees, but you can also invest points into your social skills. Listed as exploration skills here because the devs have referenced these as both social and exploration, but as you can see, each character, yours included, has 2 social skills, and these have a limited path. So you'll need to make a choice which one you want to upgrade more, if you want to upgrade them equally, but they give you some bonuses. Engineering, for example, reduces damage to the cover you're behind. Remember before I said cover can be destroyed, and it also grants you more resources when you're finding low-level crafting materials. Yes, you can find crafting materials out in the world, and that helps you upgrade your gear and invest in their skill trees. Another example is athletics lets you move faster in the world and melee harder. So each companion also has their signature passive personal skill. Jay gets Twin Bond, which makes it so the lowest of your social skills gets +1. So if you have 2 in athletics and 3 in perception, you would have 3 in athletics when you actually perform a skill check. Your personal passive is just what background you picked, so it gives you a 1-point boost to a skill. During the beta, you'll explore the station, so it's hard to tell how much variety the full game will have, but from this, there's a decent amount to keep you interested. You fight in the station, blowing up cover, and come to mention it, a lot of things in the game are fully destructible, so as bullets fly around, things in the environment will be getting shredded. You also spend a fair bit in the void of space, relying on your mag boots to keep you grounded. This includes actual combat, which is fun as physics works differently in the vacuum and you can see the bodies of the dead flinging around all over the place. The story has a decent amount of intrigue and the pacing is well done. There wasn't a moment in my many playthroughs of the beta that I felt bored, and that's a good sign. I truly want to know more, I want to push forward, I want to explore everything for new items and upgrades. Speaking of which, in the beta you can find new weapons to play around with and new gadgets. Electric rounds, snipers, shotguns, different types of pistols, wrist-mounted launchers, and incendiary grenades to name a few of the toys you can find. As the hacker, you start with the pandemic algorithm, which lets you shock up to 3 enemies if you time it right, which lets you line up headshots with relative ease. They also have a gremlin drone swarm, which sends out a swarm of bee-like drones that attack and panic enemies. They can also be commanded to move around the battlefield by pressing it again. As of right now, underwhelming in terms of damage, but they can be fully upgraded to become something more, which is nice because there's no tiers of gear. No common, uncommon, legendary, and so on. If you find something, it's unique, so weapons and gear will not go obsolete. If you know you like frag grenades and want to use them all the way through, you can. Both pre-made classes have the tactical scanner, which lights up the area around you and highlights enemies, which lets you deal 30% more damage to them. This is on a low cooldown. The officer pre-made also has incendiary rounds, which does what you'd expect. As you gain experience, you level up as a crew. So you have a crew level, not an individual level, and all of your crew alongside you get points to spend. Hey, you have shared crew funds, so why not levels? So overall, I'm very positive about the game and what's to come. Now, being fully aware the game may be a year away from release, there's obvious polish that is needed. Shadows don't look correct in cutscenes, and there is some Unreal Engine texture loading problems, but that will be worked on. What's important is, are all the fundamentals there? From the limited beta experience, yes, but it is very hard to tell. I played Anthem in beta and it was fantastic, but its problem was a lack of content, and how can you tell that exists in the beta? I really hope it's not the Expanse's problem too. Now, I very much disliked the male voice actors' take on the character, and although I'm sure they're great, they didn't work for me, at least in the beta. I worry about the skill trees as they're mostly stat based and the entire tree, survivalist, seems like it's only there to fill space. In terms of difficulty, there is normal mode and hard mode. Most people won't play on hard just so they can max out survivalist talents. They want to be rewarded for their skill. They want to take a lot of damage but also dish it out. I can't speak for everyone though. Having not seen much when it comes to exploration and taking side missions, I can't be sure of the quality and size of the game. There's still so much to be revealed. Overall, I'm far more positive on the game having played the beta than I was having not. Is the beta worth getting the Miller's Pack or Collector's Edition on the Owlcat website, which is how you access the beta? Well, that's up to you. Were you going to pre-order anyway? If so, yes, it's worth it. If not, then no, it isn't. You're going to play this for a few hours at most, but that's not why you play it. You play it so you can give devs feedback. Yes, this beta is there to help them fine-tune the game before launch, so jump on, tell them what you think, tell them to give us male voice actor choices and more smooth cutscenes, tell them you want a, I don't know, big muscly doctor husband or big titty bombshell, which also brings up a point that the models, besides the difference between the belters and the in-year loader, are pretty much all the same. I don't know, maybe tell them that. Tell them whatever you think the game needs to be a success, as long as it's your honest feedback, because Owlcat genuinely listens to their fans. They've done this kind of thing before with their other games. Also, tell me what you think below and tell me what you want me to say to Owlcat, as I will be and have been providing them feedback personally. Thank you so much for watching this, and for everything Expanse and sci-fi action RPG, you're in the right place. Ciao, friends.